New year, new mic, baby. All right, all of our hard work is about to pay off. We've broken down plywood, we've cut dados, we've edge banded, and now we're ready to assemble some cabinets. This is where it gets exciting. So come on, let's see what we can get done. All right, I like to focus on a simple cabinet construction that's easy to put together. As you can see, we're using a brad nailer to just initially put the sides together. I try to get the sides lined up as well as I can, but what's nice about using a couple brad nails is that if they don't line up, you can just hammer them in a little bit. You'll see me do that a couple times. Once we've got a general cabinet shape, we'll come back and strengthen it with some screws. I like to use a pocket rule to mark the edges set to half the thickness of the plywood. I noticed that if I didn't do that, I may get too close to the edge and plywood has a tendency to split. I feel like assembling a cabinet is kind of a trust the process moment because we've cut the sides to the same length, the top and bottom to the same length, so when we put it together, we have to trust that it's going to make a square cabinet. While we wait for him to finish up, I just want to say thank you for all the support, all the comments, the likes, the views. I really appreciate it, and I love hearing from you guys. So let's check for square. If I measure both opposite corner lengths and they're the same, we should be good. Next, we'll measure for the back panel because I still have to cut that out. Enjoy this clip of me struggling with basic math. I measure the width of the back panel by measuring the inside of the cabinet and then adding 3/8 on either side to account for the dado that I cut, and then subtracting some kind of tolerance amount like 1/8 to make sure that it's not too snug of a fit. The length is a similar measurement, except the top of the cabinet doesn't have a dado, so I add the full thickness of the plywood there. And then I like to sand both edges of the panel to help it slide more smoothly. I don't know what happened here. I must have not cut the dados wide enough, but it was pretty difficult getting this in, so we'll go ahead and skip this part. I ended up having to hammer it in, but you won't be able to see any of the hammer marks on the back, so we're good. Typically, I like to drill my shelf pin holes before I assemble the cabinet, but I forgot. It's not a big deal. I like to use spacers whenever I can, just to make sure that the pin holes are level with each other. Next, we're going to put the stretchers on the back to make sure that the cabinet stays square. This is usually pretty easy, but the plywood ended up bowing quite a bit, so I had to use a bunch of clamps. I also forgot to mention that this construction works well because I don't care about the screws showing on the side of the cabinets. This is going to be a built-in, fully enclosed by walls, so no one will see that. You'll also notice I'm using a square to make sure that the stretchers are straight and square going across the back. If you're curious, I'm using 1.5 inch brad nails and 1.25 inch screws. You may also be wondering, what about glue? Well, this is pre-finished plywood, so the glue wouldn't work on the finish. And I know that there are ways around that, but I don't think it's necessary. In my research and my experience, this builds a really sturdy cabinet. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for joining me in the shop today. Be sure to hit that follow button to keep up with how this mudroom turns out. And then the final thing we'll do is drill through the top stretcher to secure the back panel. And that's it. We built a cabinet. It looks great and it's square. Well done. Thanks. Bye.